All right, so I'm here with Principal Wayne Haver. He's the principal at Southside High School here in Fort Smith. And how long have you been principal here?
It's my 32nd year as principal. I've been here 44 years, 8 as assistant and 4 as a teacher, and then 32 as a principal.
You love it here? Mr. Haver, you've
Yes,
been here
I like
quite a
it,
while.
or I wouldn't keep coming back.
Congratulations, by the way. National Principal of the Year, correct? And you got to go out to D.C. and accept the award, so congratulations there.
I think it's a great honor.
Now, we're going to ask you a few questions about Common Core, which is the new curriculum that the federal government has given to the public school system in the United States. We're just wondering, when did Southside adopt the Common Core?
This is actually our 3rd year. Common Core actually came about out of No Child Left Behind, because in No Child Left Behind, every state in the union eventually will be on school in need of improvement status. Arkansas chose to have a 5.2% increase in test scores every year. Well, if you're down at 20%, it's not hard to get to 25, not hard maybe to get to 30. But by the time you get to 70, to get to 75 or from 75 to 80 is an impossibility. So because National saw that it wasn't going to do what they wanted to do, they let schools opt out of No Child Left Behind if they accepted Common Core. So that's how Common Core, came in. And there are some states who are still doing No Child Left Behind. But I'd say probably 39 or 40 of the states are doing the Common Core state standards.
Do you feel that it has been a successful transition?
We're still making the transition. We actually had a year of assistance from a group called the Southern Region Education Board. It's an organization called High Schools at Work, and we've been involved in that for probably 31 years. It's headquartered out of Atlanta. And they had a team of 2 ladies who came, and the 2 areas we're working on strongly are literacy and mathematics. And those ladies came about every quarter and worked with our head math teachers that were doing the Common Core and our literacy people. They were only here for a year. In the 2nd year, we brought in other teachers from those 2 departments to start doing the Common Core. And we're still doing that. We don't have all the teachers and even those 2 departments involved in it yet, and eventually it'll take over all the core courses in math, English, and science and social studies.
How have the teachers adjusted?
Pretty well. It's really not a bad thing. It's just new, and anytime you change from one program to another, there's always that transition program, and certainly you get to teachers on the front end who are a little bit more excited about it than the teachers on the back end, and so you have to kind of bring in the last ones into that. And in a school like this where I have 17 math teachers and 17 English teachers.
Now, have you seen any? Have you noticed any negative aspects from the Common Core?
Well, there's always a few little negative aspects, and part of it's in the transition thing and changing from the state basic frameworks and things to go to the Common Core. Of course, the state's adopting all the Common Core, and the newness of it, and by the newer teachers not having the benefit of the team from SREB, it makes it a little bit more, difficult for them, because our current people don't always have the full expertise that those sort of experts did who came in to help us get started.
Yeah, now, what do you think the largest benefit would be? Would you think it was the test scores, like you were saying at the beginning of the interview, the fact that they can't keep going up?
I think certainly that's going to help some schools. The whole deal with Common Core is that every state's basically doing the same thing, that we're teaching the same standards now, so that a kid who comes to us from some other state in the union, or one of our students who goes there, has basically had the same curriculum, and it kind of goes beyond a statewide curriculum to a national curriculum. And there's always people who have a problem with that controlled by the federal government and the Department of Education telling everybody what to do instead of it. It took took some things out of the school board's prerogative, and certainly took some things out of the state's prerogative. By signing on to it, they agreed to do certain things, and I'm sure there were some of those they didn't really want to do. I don't know of any specific ones, but anytime you take over someone else's plan, there's always some things you would like to tweak a little bit and maybe modify, and yet you can't do that in some of these standards.
Now, the amount of time that you've been here at Southside as principal and worked here at Southside, how many times have you seen a curriculum change like this?
Probably about 10. It's an amazing thing. There's always, in 1983, Governor Clinton and Hillary developed what was called the Arkansas State Standards. And we're basically still under those. They've been added to a little bit, but it meant that every school had to do certain things, had to teach 38 courses, for instance, and that's where all that consolidation came in back in the mid-'80s. It's because of a lot of schools couldn't teach 38 courses. 30 of them were required to be taught every year, and 8 of them could be every other year, like you could do Chemistry 1 this year and Chemistry 2 the next year, then go back and do Chemistry 1. And there were a couple of courses like that. But even by being able to do them every 2 years like that, there still were some schools who could not do that. And so you had the consolidation going on. And consolidation has some positive sides and some negative sides. But those were, when I first became principal in 82, 83, that's when those standards came out. And they've been tweaked several times, saying now there's 4 math courses required, and initially there were 3. There were some areas that weren't even covered, like business education was not even counted. Well, it is now, and it can substitute for some social studies requirements. But every few years there's a new. We went through the Program for Effective Teaching with Madeline Hunter, and now we're doing a state called TESS, a teacher evaluation system that every teacher is under, and the administrators have one called LEADS, which is a leadership thing, and it's almost identical to the teachers, and very cumbersome, very intense, kind of labor intensive, especially a lot of paperwork to it. And so there's always something new coming out, and I think Common Core will go for a while, and eventually new sets of people come in, either to the Department of Education or into Congress, and some things will change. That's education for you. Sometimes it's for the better. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just a different way of doing something.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Haber. We appreciate your time, and
You're welcome.
have a good year.
Okay.